And cochineal is derived from crushed up bugs. Little bugs that you crunch up to get a nice natural red color. All right, welcome back to another Flight School. I'm Maximilian Girardin.
I'm Lily Margolis.
And today we're talking about Aperitivo. This is the Leopold Brothers Aperitivo, which is made here in Denver by the excellent Leopold Brothers. They are probably the most diverse and talented distillery in the country at this point. They have something in every section in our store, which is pretty cool. I really wanted to do something with aperitivos because it's one of the most frequent things I'm asked for in the store. Hi, I was just in Italy and I had an aperitivo. Where's your aperitivo section? The reality is, and my favorite saying is, one man's aperitivo is another man's digestif. An aperitivo isn't actually a category of spirit. Now, what aperitivo on a bottle will refer to is a certain style of spirit, often an herbal liqueur, and often red in color. So we're going to talk about that a little bit. Have you had this one before?
I have. This is actually one of my personal favorites. I use this in my spritz instead of using Aperol at home.
Heck yeah, I love spritzes, and spritzes are very trendy right now. We're selling a ton of Aperol. This is a really good chance to try a local producer's version of a very popular spirit. Now, this as a category is somewhere in between Campari and Aperol, just this bottle, I mean, and I'll explain that a little bit more, but let's try it out. I'm curious what you can pick out of it, although you're familiar with it. It's been a long time since I've had it on its own.
For me, I get a lot of orange rind, like blood orange, some more bitter herbal notes as well.
Any particular herbs?
Ooh. I want to say fennel and maybe I'm not good at
that's okay.
The herbs.
Picking out individual herbs is hard. Yeah,
that there is that herbal component, but my palate isn't experienced enough to pick one. I know it's there, but I don't know which one.
So the biggest herbaceous component of almost every aperitivo and of the Campari and herbal bitters is gentian. And gentian is the root of a flowering plant, kind of like a daisy, and it's got its own very bitter note to it. Have you ever chewed on like a dandelion stem?
Yes.
It's that like green, almost acrid, astringent bitter. It's very bright. It's got a lot of that kind of zest to it, and that comes out in here. That's the main herbaceous note I get. Fennel isn't an off note in here, but I'm wondering if it might be lingering from the last one we did.
Probably.
Yeah, we probably should have done that last. Next time, aperitivo before absinthe. So the other thing that you nailed was citrus and zest, and it's not just orange juice, it's the rinds of oranges. It's the pithy, bitter, really just like white part, the part that you don't want to eat when you're eating oranges unless you're crazy. So this as a style, and I want to go back to saying aperitif versus aperitivo versus digestivo. Those describe the time of day you drink them. When you are in Italy, you would have a spritz before dinner. But if you were in Germany, you would have a gentian liqueur after dinner as a digestivo or digestif to settle your stomach. It's very much of the culture where you're at when you drink these things. Now, this one is somewhere in between Campari and Aperol. That's because Aperol is below 20% alcohol by volume. I think it's at 11.5% alcohol by volume. And Campari is at 25% alcohol by volume. So between those two, Campari is very bitter and has a lot less sugar. Aperol is very sweet, has a ton more sugar, and is lower in alcohol. That's kind of the fundamental difference there. This guy is kind of splitting that difference. It's more bitter than Aperol. It's not as sweet and candy-like. It's got really good, bright, herbaceous notes, but it's not quite as dense and bitter as Campari is. But yeah, you could use this in a Negroni very easily. It's a really lovely aperitivo. I want to talk a little bit about the color. Do you know what the color comes from?
No, I was gonna ask.
Yeah. So it says on the back here, and I want to see you take a stab at the word I cheated. I had to look up how to pronounce it. I've been saying it wrong for years.
Cochineal?
Really close. I always said cochineal, but it's actually cochineal. And cochineal is derived from crushed up bugs. Little bugs that you crunch up to get a nice natural red color.
So this is not vegan?
No, not vegan. Well, I don't know. You eat a lot of bugs when you eat a salad, right? But so this red color, this is of the style, kind of like blue curacao. Curacao is an orange liqueur. Why do we color it blue? Because one bartender, one time, colored it blue, made a couple drinks with it, and now it's a category. Same with something like this. This Italian herbal red bitter became just kind of the thing. They all have citrus, they all have gentian, and then they kind of spread out from there with all the different things that they do. Some are wine based, this one's a spirit based, and this one's all the way up at 24% alcohol by volume. But yeah, crushed up bugs. And if they didn't use the crushed up bugs, there's a couple other famous examples that we have. Contratto uses beets, and Campari and Aperol use FD&C red and yellow dye, which is the main reason why people search for alternatives once they're aware about the dyes in there. There's no real reason for that. It's just food coloring, but there's no reason for this to be bright red anyways. It's just kind of a category.
Would this be a clear spirit without the bugs?
No, it would probably... depends on how they do it. If they vapor infuse it, then yes, it would be clear. I don't think that they're doing 100% vapor infusion, so I think that they clear it up after they infuse and macerate everything, and then they dye it.
Okay.
Yeah. Good question. I don't know. I'm sure everyone does it differently too, depending on what component they're using to make this color.
And so Aperol has become super popular in the last 2 years. I know sales have increased dramatically. Is Aperol its own category, or is it just a brand?
Just a brand. It's Kleenex is what I like to say. It just became synonymous with the style. Now, that being said, it really kills it for that style. It is made specifically to be mixed with Prosecco. If we were drinking Aperol side by side with this right now, it would be hard for you to taste it, because this is really robust and bright and flavorful, and Aperol is just kind of sweet and mild and candy-like, which is why it goes so well in a Prosecco. This would also go very well in a Prosecco, but this would be much more of a serious cocktail nerd's spritz.
I use this in my spritz instead of using Aperol.
And it makes excellent Negronis as well, which I said before, but I love a Negroni. Did you have any other questions about the Aperitivo?
Not today, but I'm excited to try Aperol and Campari next.
Absolutely, we'll have to get those guys out there.
Thanks for joining us today. Subscribe to our YouTube and ask your questions in the comments.